for us men out there, we can actually do some Botox, but
There's also Scrotox.
Scrotox. What is a Scrotox? Please don't tell me what it is.
It's Botox in the scrotum.
No.
It is a thing.
Why?
Yeah, why? I don't know. To make it look less wrinkly and pretty.
What?
It's a thing. Look it up. I'm not lying.
Hey everyone, this is Zamri here with the Thrive and Vibe. This is season 2, episode 4. And for those of you guys who are celebrating Father's Day, salute to all the fathers, new fathers, old fathers, even to my own father. And of course, for today, we are doing something absolutely different. And of course, this special guest that I have here is absolutely it's not a father, it's a mother, but she served to be an amazing individual. I met her through Halloween, right? Halloween?
Mm-hmm.
And
Halloween.
with Jeremy Jensen, and we were able to kind of link up and talk about business, talk about personal development, and we also have in common about traveling to Bali, Indonesia. So, of course, I had the privilege to really get a time or calendar out of a busy day, because you do own a Botox clinic and esthetician. But of course, I present you Mary Moosavi. Mary, how's it going?
Hi, Zane. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. How about yourself?
I am wonderful. Thank you for asking.
Just driving and vibing.
Driving and vibing, baby.
So Mary, about this episode, this is a very special episode to you and also to me. And you're not just also an amazing entrepreneur, but you're also an amazing mother that can serve to be almost kind of like a father figure to your kids. And of course, you're not just that; you're also thriving in one of the very interesting industries, so like in the beauty industry, and it's definitely really tough. But of course, you've heard about Thrive and Vibe. I interview people who are thriving in their business, and then talk about how they vibe out of their day-to-day hustles. But to tell the audience, about a little bit about yourself, like how'd you get into the beauty industry and so forth.
Oh man, it's been a journey. So a little bit about me. I am half Iranian, half Mexican. I'm one of 6 children.
Wait, you're Mexican?
Half. Yeah, my mom is Mexican. My dad is Iranian.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, surprise. Most people think I look Hispanic. Nobody ever thinks I look Persian. Every now and then people can tell.
I think I knew you were Persian just because of your eyes. Your eyes kind of give it away for me.
Yeah, that's what they say. When people say that, that's your eyes. You have Persian eyes. But a lot of people think I'm Latina. So I'm like, well, you're half right. But my last name is definitely Persian, so kind of throws people off. So anyway, yeah, I'm one of 6 children, second to the oldest, pretty big family. Didn't have a whole lot growing up. Pretty strict parents, very conservative. So, kind of found my way to the beauty industry through healthcare. I ended up becoming a nurse. And when I first heard about medical spas, it was like 2005, I kind of got into it because I thought, wow, that's a really cool area of nursing. It was brand new. No one was really doing it yet. No one was really doing Botox as commonly as they are now. I mean, this was almost 20 years ago, right? 18 years ago when it first became FDA approved for cosmetic purposes.
I thought it was always FDA approved.
I mean, for cosmetic purposes, it became cosmetically approved, I believe, in 2003.
Before then, it was just more of
medical.
So if someone were had their very deranged phase or they lost their face, then that's okay for medical, or that's still cosmetical?
So actually, the very first medical approval that Botox got was for strabismus, which is crossed eyes.
Okay.
So they use it to relax the muscle to make their eyes not cross. So that was the first medical indication. Now there's several other medical indications.
And this is within the USA or kind of whole world?
The USA, I believe.
Got it.
Your fact check me now. I'm pretty sure it's the US. But anyway, so it was just kind of approved for cosmetic. Not that many people were doing it or knew about it. Now pretty much almost everybody gets Botox. I think it's very common. So But back then, I kind of got into it. And it's just like now I'm glad I got into it when I did because I was still working as a nurse, like in the ICU, and I was doing the Botox
ICU
thing on the
nurse.
side.
Yeah.
And
That's a lot to balance actually, because I know how long nurses work, like odd hours. Of course, you guys work hard and play hard, like
Right.
18-hour days and then 3 days off type of
so
thing.
12 hours. So
Okay,
I
12
would
hours.
do, when I first started, it was 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.,
All right.
3 days a week, 4 days off. So I'd work 1 or 2 days, pick up at the other clinic. It was a lot, but I enjoyed it. I really thoroughly enjoyed doing the beauty part of it because just making people look good and feel good about themselves, it was like a hobby to me. I mean,
Yeah,
it was
it
like
was.
a way to be creative in the healthcare industry, but still helping people, you know, and then also with the balance of really sick people in the ICU. I worked in the neurotrauma ICU, cardiovascular ICU, cardiac cath lab. I've kind of worked a little bit everywhere in the medical field. And then I kind of really started delving into the cosmetic industry, probably like 2011, like right after I had my daughter, just because the hours were better.
Yeah.
The pay, I saw how lucrative it could be, but I was really, really nervous to start my own business, and it's a leap of faith, and
It
I
is.
was like, what if it doesn't succeed? What if I fail? I need to have something to back me up, like a better degree. So I always in the back of my mind, like the most prestigious degree in nursing is CRNA, or Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetist. So it's basically a advanced practice nurse
Advanced practice,
degree
yeah.
in anesthesia. So, and it's probably one of the highest paying jobs in nursing. So it's really hard to get in. So I was like, well, let me apply. If I get in, that'd be a good backup plan. Otherwise, I'll probably just go to nurse practitioner school, which is also a good alternative. Anyway, I applied. I got in. It was a 3-year. I got my doctorate degree. Worked really, really hard for that.
So
But
should
then
I call you Dr. Mary Moosavi?
you can call me Dr. Moosavi, but I'm like the doctor nurse. I'm not a medical doctor, a nurse doctor, so
Nurse doctor.
doctor of nursing practice. So I got my doctorate degree and started doing that, and then I was still kind of doing like working at the medical spa, like on the side, and one day my sister was like, hey, why don't we just she got her license to do permanent makeup, and she was like, why don't we just open our own little space, let's just get an LLC and do this whole thing. And I'm like, sure, why not? I was doing anesthesia full time, 4 days a week, and I had my little daughter. She was 6, 7 years old, and trying to balance all that. And then I didn't really realize how hard it was going to be, but it was a lot of work. I was kind of just doing a little bit concierge, Botox parties, and then some people started coming to my apartment, and then I was like, okay, now their friends are bringing their friends. I'm like, okay, we need a space. So I got a space and with my sister, and that just started kind of picking up word of mouth. And I'm like, okay, this is good. This is busy. And I was doing everything by myself, answering the phones.
How do you sleep?
Answering the phones. No. Doing my Instagram, my social media, which is how I pretty much built my practice. So
TikTok or Instagram?
well, TikTok wasn't a thing back then, really.
What year are we talking about? Yeah,
This was 2017.
2017.
Yeah,
got
2017 is when I started my own. So I was on Insta doing, that's a whole other job just in and of itself.
Absolutely.
And then, doing anesthesia, trying to, I'm a single mom, so having my daughter. And then any chance I had that was the weekend, I was working literally at least 6 days a week. After I get off work, I would go work, and it was just nonstop. Till I got to the point where I was okay, let me back off anesthesia and balance more of the med spa. So I started working less anesthesia, more med spa, and then till it got to the point where now I'm working 1 or 2 days a month anesthesia, and then the rest at my med spa. I actually only inject 3 days a week now at the med spa, but I had to work so hard to get to the point where I am now and build a team where doing everything on your own, you think, okay, nobody can do it as good as me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it was okay, I'm going to put my heart and soul in. And I did, but there comes a point where it's you need
burn out.
help.
You
need a team. And I just became so much more efficient. And I'm still building my team, but the efficiency and not having to work so late and not having to work as hard because other people are doing things together with me as a team.
Yeah. When did you start actually like looking to hire a team? Like
Probably I hired my first person in 2019.
2019.
So it was like 2 years.
You put it like an ad like on Craigslist, or you put it like
People I
on
knew,
Indeed.
people I knew in the
Oh,
industry.
still word of mouth kind
So
of
I
thing.
used to
Yeah.
work, I've worked in the industry, so I knew people. I'm like, I knew someone who was looking to, work. She was an esthetician. She knew the industry, which was very helpful. So I brought her on first. She'd help me at the front, and then she was kind of building her clientele, esthetician. Then all of a sudden, when she's getting busy, like who's like literally we're both working on patients, and the phone's ringing. We're like, who's going to answer the phone? Okay, we need a front desk girl now because now she's busier. So then I knew someone that had, she has reception experience. And she was also a patient of mine too, and I know her mom. And so I was like,
You hired a patient.
she was a good patient, but I knew her mom.
Okay.
And I knew her, and so I was like, I knew she worked like the front desk, like a hair salon somewhere. I'm like, hey, and she did it part time.
Okay, gotcha.
And so I was like, well, are you interested in picking up some extra days? Like, I really need help. And she's like, yeah, I love it. So then she came. Then eventually she quit the hair thing, and she's still with me, and she's like spa manager now, and she's helped me so much because it's a lot. There's so much on the back end that you don't think of when you open a business. Is you see all this when I was working in the med spa, you see all this money coming in. You're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be rich. But then it's like you don't understand your overhead and everything else that's on the back end. And and you try in the beginning you try to cut corners, but then you end up paying. And I've learned things the hard way, and I've made
Yeah.
mistakes. And I think probably one of the biggest challenges for me is that I don't have zero background in business, none.
Yeah, zero background business.
I'm healthcare. I do what I do. In my practice, I take care of
Yeah,
patients.
you're the expert in it, but then you're learning to become a business owner
Yes.
and make sure you're generating revenue or not generating revenue whatsoever and paying your employees.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, even starting up payroll, offering healthcare benefits. There's so much. The whole credit card processing fees, all of these financing options. There's so many things in the background that you don't
Absolutely.
even think of. Okay, or I want to get this equipment. I need a loan, and it's a lot. And I've made some expensive mistakes before, I think, and it's a big learning curve for me. But it's also the same for like say physicians who end up going through medical school and then they open their own practice. It's still a business, but they don't know how to run a business because they know medicine. So it's just kind of like, okay, unless you're just kind of like keen and you're just like street smart like that, and you can kind of like
Yeah.
feel it. Then like some people have that, and I kind of know a little bit because my dad owned his business. He owned a convenience store. And so when I was little, I used to like ring the register. I kind of knew some sort of like
had an
skills.
idea, but then it still bit you in the ass, thinking like, oh wow,
It's a totally different business than anything. I mean, it is healthcare and it is a business, and it's just kind of putting the two together. And also another thing is just like still being ethical about it. Like you don't want to
exactly.
over prescribe. Like I want people to look natural and feel good. Some people and look good, right? But some people are like, oh, they see the money. I'm just gonna keep putting more on their lips because they want more and more. But I tell people no. Like yes, I can take your money, but I'm not gonna take your money because I have your best interest. So still keeping that healthcare side of me. And not just trying to take people's money, I think is what's made my business thrive and buy because like nobody wants to feel taken advantage of or lied to and given empty promises. I'm very honest and I'm very straightforward to people as far as like what I think they need. And I'm quick to tell someone, no, you don't need that. And I think they respect me more for that. They're like, thank you for telling me that. Because you start to lose sight of like, you're doing too much. Like, start to lose sight of who you are, what you're supposed to look like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a human.
Yeah, so when you think in your med spa, do you run like a very specific philosophy and you try to tie that in with what you learned in healthcare? Because I know in business, I like to always under promise but over deliver.
Exactly.
But the worst case would be like over promise and you under deliver, and then of course you only need one bad review. One bad review, you can have 10,000 positive reviews. When you have one bad review, like your reputation just goes down, which is very powerful, and you have to be. It's nerve wracking, and it's very what is it? It puts you on your toe to not like have one bad review or decent review, but one bad review can definitely tank down your business.
I mean, it can, and I try to. That's why in the forefront, I tried to be super honest with people, like you said,
Be straightforward, yeah.
under promise and hopefully over deliver, and actually, doing it for 18 years. Because before I'm like, yeah, we can do this, we can fix it. Then you do it, I'm like, okay, now I've seen enough faces, I've injected enough people to know like what the outcome is going to be and who the best candidate is for what, and that just comes with time and practice too.
Yeah,
And
it
so,
does.
and also another thing you have to take into account too is like mental state of people.
We all want to
dis-
look good on the outside, but what is it like the mental health? I'm pretty sure you're.
Well, like body dysmorphic disorder. I mean, that's
Oh,
a
yeah.
thing. That's a real thing.
It
you
is.
know, and there's red flags that you can see and look for in people and kind of gauge whether how you're going to approach their treatment. Or if you're even going to approach treating them, just depending on a lot of different factors. So, but again, that also comes with practice and time, experience, and to recognize like some of the red flags.
Yeah. No, that's really, really cool. 18 years. And that's really, you've really kind of seen, do you think anyone that were to really go to what you're doing right now, but they can come with 3 years experience, or you would tell them like, hey, it's a very tough field, and the money is really good, but just know you're dealing with people's like mental health or livelihood, especially one day you want to look super good. So, so do you think anyone with a less years experience can go into it, or just go and be patient?
I mean, yes, just knowing it takes time and practice. And here's another thing too, like aesthetics, the injections that I do, they're not taught in school. They're not taught in nursing school. They're not taught in anesthesia school, doctorate school, even medical school. They don't teach us aesthetics like that. It's a lot of continuing education. So I did a lot of education. I actually traveled to London and did some injectable training over there, and like just always learning. And there's always new things coming out,
Really?
new products
Wow.
coming out, new techniques coming out. So staying on top of like the continuing education. But like most importantly is safety, patient safety, because injections can be dangerous. You can cause someone to go blind. You can cause someone's skin to fall off if you don't know what you're doing or how to recognize untoward events. Like there's blood vessels all on our face that feed our eyes. They feed the skin, and so if they become occluded, you can compromise blood flow to that area. They can be actually highly dangerous in certain areas. So not knowing that anatomy, which they don't teach anatomy in that much detail
Really?
in nursing school. So most people are like nurses, PAs, and physicians that do the injections. At least here in Texas, and it's different in different states across the nation. But you have to learn the safety first. Then that scares people usually shitless when they learn that, because they're like, I don't want to even touch this. This is going to all go wrong. But if you know it, if you know your anatomy and you know how to recognize when things go wrong, it's reversible. You can fix it. If you're feeling confident to do that. And then it's like, that's the science. Then there's the art.
Yeah, the art.
Right?
Yeah.
So
it's
can you
funny.
teach art?
You can't really teach art. I think you really have to kind of like do it, and then you find your way. You can be inspired by other artists.
Right.
So would you say you took the art piece of it? That's one thing I want to dive into. Is like, do you already have a vision when you see the before client? It's like, okay, you're a little bit more bloated here. You want to have higher cheekbones, and you would have a vision. It's like, okay, if I put this much of like into injection, it should maybe 100% come out like this. Do you like talk me through your thought process about that and like the art?
Yeah. So I always want to be sensitive to people's ethnicities too. I don't want to take that away from people. I want them to look like them, just a more refreshed them.
Ooh, I like that refreshed.
So like more refined, more rested. Everyone wants to look just a little bit more like, you look rested, but not like, oh, you had something done, right? That's my goal. My goal is like, okay,
I've always
you
thought
look
about
good.
that. Like in the plastic surgery, it's you want to look better version, but then I don't want to look something completely different. But I like how you say the word rested.
Yeah. So just knowing how the face ages. So I've studied how the skin ages, the bone ages, the fat in our face ages,
The
depletes,
collagen.
everything goes down and forward. And so seeing where their shadows are in the face. starting from the top and going down, not just assessing the the like static lines in their face,
okay. I
but
thought you
like
were
the
about to say
deeper
wrinkles.
lines, wrinkles, same thing, static lines, but like at rest, since people have wrinkles at rest, and then that's like Botox upper face. Then you start getting into filler. I mean, looking at the temples, the under eyes, the cheeks, and I just work my way down. And
Wait, what about the buccal fat? Or that's still more about that's still a liposuction. Correct me here.
it's not lipo, but I think they just like cut out. So I don't do surgery.
Got it.
I don't cut. I like inject or lift. So anything that's like done through a puncture, I can do. But actually cutting that out,
Whether
that's
it
like
was
more
a
like
knife, no.
that's more like plastic surgery.
Got it. Got it.
But yes, and I totally will refer people to plastic surgery too, because depending on what their expectations are, what they want, I'm like, look, in the long run, this might benefit you better if you had surgery.
Have you ever had patients that really asked us like, "Hey, can you please do this?" And it's like, "That's not what
Oh
we
yeah,
do."
yeah, yes,
I could
of
refer you to
course.
plastic surgery.
Or like say they want, they're like, oh, my under eyes bother me so bad, and I'm like, if I don't think I can give them what they want, I'm like, I think surgery is your best option. I go,
Okay.
I was like, I might be able to improve it a little bit and maybe just make it look a little better, but like surgery is the gold standard to like remove the bags under your eyes.
that's
I don't want to make people look worse or look more puffy or anything like that. So if I don't think they're a good candidate and they're a better candidate for surgery, I won't touch them.
Oh, okay. No, that's good. That's good. Yeah, but so it's like so wow, you just taught me about buccal fat. So that's really a plastic surgery. It's not really what you could definitely inject. I thought it could be something that you could inject, kind of make your cheekbones more prominent.
So the filler, you can inject filler in the cheekbones, and that makes those more prominent. You can inject something that kind of kills the fat cells. It's called Kybella, and you inject it usually in the neck area. But some people do it in the jowls, like off-label, and you can do that. But just I'm very very selective on who I would do that to, and if I don't think it's going to be a good outcome or I'm unsure, I'm just like, won't do it.
Yeah, and then of course, I know that Botox is also for women, but you also taught me a new word, Botox. And for us men out there, we can actually do some Botox, but
There's also Scrotox.
Scrotox. What is a Scrotox? Please don't tell me what it is.
It's Botox in the scrotum.
No,
It is a thing.
why?
Yeah, why? I don't know. To make it look less wrinkly and pretty.
What?
It's a thing. Look it up. I'm not lying. There's all kinds of things you can do with Botox. And also, everyone knows Botox, but I'm just going to say it out there. Botox is the first brand ever of the neurotoxin.
Oh, it's a brand. I thought it's just a specific injection.
No, there's
please tell me the type
there's
of
like
words.
there's like 5 different brands out there now. There's Dysport,
Okay.
Botox.
All right.
There's Jeuveau, there's Xeomin, and now Daxxify. So there's 5, and they're all different in different ways, just more competitors. But everyone just calls it Botox because it's the first brand ever made of anobotulin toxin type A. So that's the actual name of the Botox name.
Yeah,
So
wow.
it's a toxin. It's a neuromodulator.
Oh, wow.
And so Botox had like everything, monopolizing the whole industry. So the other competitors started making their own type of Botox, but some people are like, oh, like it's generic, and I'm like, it really isn't. I'm like, it's like Coca-Cola and Pepsi. They're just 2 different brands. They do the same thing, and sometimes one works better than the other, but like it also goes down to like cost effectiveness too, and like they're different prices for different ones. So it's just kind of like whatever works best for that patient. But I like to let people know of like all the different options they have.
Wow.
There's so many different brands, and
I
there's
did
more
not.
coming out.
There's
Just
more.
like
I just thought it's just Botox. Like, kind of similar, of course, like, yeah, the medicine Viagra. There's more than just one Viagra, like, to enhance your sexual experience for men.
right.
Wow, I did
So
not
yeah,
know.
very similar. So yeah, different brands, same thing.
Wow. You still surprise me with Scrotox. for all of it, please do. I wouldn't do Scrotox. But Botox, how many? Okay, that's a question. So for your med spa, how many male patients do you get?
I mean, I've been
for your
seeing
Botox?
more and more men come in lately. Still, women dominate my med spa at least. I would say maybe like 5 to 10% of my patients are male. And a lot of times their wives will bring them in or their girlfriends will bring them in. Some will like come in on their own. And it's like once they do it, like you can't not do it. But honestly, sometimes I do think wrinkles look sexier on a man, sometimes like around the eyes. So, I'll just like to like prevent the aging, because you can also do preventative Botox. So
Yeah.
I started Botox when I was 22 because that's how old I was, like 21 or 22. I think 22.
Wait, when you say Botox, do you start distributing Botox? Do you start
Both.
put Botox on you? On you?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I'm like, they're like, you're 22, like you don't need Botox. I'm like, yeah, I don't need it, but like look at me now, like I don't have wrinkles and I'm 41, so I'm about to be 41. So it's like preventative.
Guys, he's 41 years old. So
So it's like, it's kind of like if you can't make the wrinkle, you can't get the wrinkle, right? So if you're not like super mobile in your face, that wrinkle's not going to form.
Yeah.
So starting it early, and you don't have to do a lot of it. I mean, even I would just do it like maybe twice a year, like just a little bit here and there, and it just kind of helps delay the aging process. So actually starting younger is better, and as you get older, it's not going to be as expensive. You could probably delay a facelift or plastic surgery later until later on in life if, kind of taking care of it early on.
wow. So with another, and this is the last question for Botox. So for any new patients that really that are considering about Botox, men or women, like how much research to say no, or it's as simple as ABC. Like, is it really simple, or take your time to really know? Because again, it could change your life.
It's so simple. And it takes like 5 minutes to inject, and
What?
everyone should do it. Period.
should do it.
If anyone comes into my office, if they're 20 and they want to do it, yes, do it. Even if it's a sprinkle, like something for preventative. I'm all about preventative. So, but you can. It's also like, kind of reversible a little bit of some of the wrinkles depending on how long they've been there. There's people like frown, they come in and they have this engraved lines like right here, and it's just like people think I look angry and mad all the time because that line has been engraved there over years from frowning. And then like Botox maybe can help a little bit. Sometimes it can get rid of it, and then sometimes it's still kind of always there, but it can always make it better no matter what. No matter what, it's going to get better. So, but like good skincare, tox. I mean, if I had to choose actually between like skincare and injectables, I'd say go with the skincare, because even if you see people and they come and they get all these fillers, but their skin doesn't look good, the filler doesn't look good, or you know what I mean. So
Yeah,
it's like take care of your skin. So
Absolutely. Wow. I learned so much, and I'm pretty sure our listeners learned so much about you. And of course, they're seeing you're the proof of the product. And like you're proof of like 20 plus years. You know what you're saying, and I'm pretty sure you have so much more to kind of share the ins and outs about the business. But of course, we only have not that much time for this episode. But let's kick it up a notch, switch it to my favorite part, the vibing part. So you talk about how you thrive, vibe. There's so much more. I'm pretty sure you could definitely share about how you vibe, because again, you've already reached to one of the top levels of like being a doctor, being an esthetician, and being a business owner. How do you really kind of relax? I know you told me before you love to travel,
Yes.
spend time with your daughter.
Yes.
And of course, party out with your girlfriends.
yes.
And
Yes, I love to like go out and have a good brunch, have a good like sit on a nice patio when it's not this hot outside. But because in Texas
for
we're
everyone's
dying.
info, for everyone's info in Houston, Texas, right now. For those who are listening outside of Texas, it is around 100 degrees Fahrenheit or around 30 plus degrees Celsius. It's absolutely
Plus like 90% humidity, so it feels like 115. I don't even know. It's so hot
so
outside.
our ACs are pretty blasted in this house as of right now. But continuing on.
Yes. So, I told you when I was first starting the business, it was like 6 days a week, working, never a break. And I almost broke, right?
Almost
so
broke.
I live to vacation almost. And because I got to the point where it's like, am I working to live or living to work? You have to have like a light at the end of the tunnel. So for me, I like to always have a trip plan, something to look forward to.
Do you plan your trips, or do your girlfriends, or it's just? or a mixture of everything?
A mix. Sometimes I'll get invited to go somewhere and everything's planned and I'll go. Or now that like COVID's over and everything, like I started traveling with my daughter. I told you I went to Bali like right
Yeah.
after anesthesia school. So then I was like, I want to take her. I didn't ever get to travel when I was younger. Like I said, we're one of six
You
kids.
want
We never went.
you want to put that you want to fill that in with your daughter.
Well, I think it's important to learn about
Yeah.
different cultures and
That
see
too.
different things. And you know, I said, you know, every year I go pick somewhere new that you want to go see, and we'll go there. We'll make a trip. So since I haven't really traveled since Bali, like 2017. Last year we did Turkey and Greece, and this year she said she wanted to do Paris. So we're doing Paris, London, and then Italy actually. So we're kind of going to do a little cruise in the Mediterranean. I leave next week.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so you know, just and being able to like get away like that and just not have to worry about anything else and just relax. For
Like you
me,
already hired enough people to look after your business and keep it streamlined.
Yes.
And if it's emergency, they'll call you if they need to.
They
Yeah.
try not to because they know, like, oh, you're on vacation. But I mean, it's inevitable. I always get a phone call, but it's fine. It's not like
Yeah.
I worry still, but I try to just relax. And I think
Yeah.
it's so important for my mental health to kind of like, okay, get back into work mode. When I'm back, I'm rested. I can go.
Mm-hmm.
And then I try to do at least one trip. Also, that's an adult trip with like
Adult trip.
like friends.
No, not mommy daughter trip, but
Yeah,
adult trip.
I think it's good to have both. You have to have balance. Life is all about balance, right?
Yeah.
So.
No, that's really good. You were able to have balance. I don't think my parents. I'm talking about my parents. They didn't really kind of have the balance to travel on their own till me and the rest of my siblings all graduate college and say, okay, finally we can have time to ourselves.
Yeah.
But you're being able to do it both, even when your child is not even wasn't in college yet.
No, she's just turned 13.
Oh my.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So I mean, I try like my parents still don't travel. They don't really go. They don't like to venture out. They're very much like homebodies, very different. But like when I turned 21 and when I finished nursing school, I went to Italy.
That was your very.
and that was like
would you say that's your very first time traveling?
but yes, and
all by yourself.
Well, I went with a friend.
Okay,
but I mean,
alright.
but without my parents, you know what I'm saying? Like we didn't go like as a family or anything, and so that like instilled the travel bug in me.
The travel bug.
And then I was like, oh my gosh, like the world is amazing. I can't believe I didn't. It's a total different vibe in Italy and France. I mean, just Europe in general.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in Bali too. I mean, Asia. Like, there's so many places that I haven't seen that I want to go to. But it's just kind of like, you know, being able, like I said, to put yourself in a different culture, a different experience. It's just.
You told me
It's refreshing.
Yeah, and then you told me one of your biggest. You had some big culture shocks in Bali, Indonesia, seeing like, whoa, this is how people like ride with a family of five on one motorcycle to like the food there. But any other big culture shock that you never would have thought like seen in your entire life, and it made you think.
Well, I'll tell you this. I guess I didn't bring this up. So I have twice in my life as a professional, I've gone to do mission work, like surgical missions.
Oh, nice.
So I went to India when I was a registered nurse. I went to India, and to see the healthcare there. I mean, to see the culture in general, but like literally, we're in the operating room, the lights will go off. And we're with our cell phones, holding it over the surgery table.
Oh my God, like
with
blackouts?
the lights. We had flashlights. Like, hey, we got to keep going. Have blackouts, and we'd still keep going because we're trying to get as many surgeries as we can. We'd work like 12 hours every day. We had a lot of surgeries, and then as an anesthesia provider, a couple of years ago, I went to Uganda.
Uganda.
Yeah, that was
wow.
very different too. So seeing like those cultures, and then also in the light of medicine. And
Were you staying in like the huts?
They had a hotel for
Okay,
us
gotcha.
that the mission group that we went with had provided. We had like some military people kind of guarding us too, because it can
Yeah.
be dangerous in some of those parts.
Yeah.
But to see like things like goiter with like their really big thyroids and things that you don't see on the side of the world that I've read about in textbooks, you know, because it's like they're not taking in enough iodine, it's not in their salt, their, you know, thyroids get really big. It's like stuff you don't see, and it's just like, wow, you know.
Like
to be
no
able
one,
to
no one would know. Even if you try to Google search it, I feel like you had to kind of travel there, and then you really actually see it in person with your own eyes.
Yes, I mean some tumors. I mean, they just don't have the medical care to like get it removed, and it's like rotting, and it's big, and it's like, wow. like very humbling experience to go to both of those countries and to help the people. Like, it made me feel really good. I mean, I took like a week out of my, life away from my family, away from, away from my daughter, away from my business. I don't make any money from going there. It's totally volunteer work, but to be able to do that and help the people, for the group, the International Surgical Mission Support, like, they're amazing. They do this every year, and yeah, I'd like to go back again and do more. Just haven't since COVID. Kind of everything died down, but I think they're starting to go back again.
Wow. That's a good way to kind of like really reset and also really kind of think about how grateful you are.
Yes.
So another thing about traveling. So since you said earlier you are half Iranian and half Mexican, you did not tell me you were half Mexican. But did you? Have you traveled to those to Mexico or Mexico or Iran to really know more about your roots?
I have actually. I actually went to Iran in 2021 was the last time I went. Before that had been like 20 years. We used to go like every few years when I was younger.
Yeah.
And then in Mexico too, I have been. My mom is from like Leon and Guanajuato, and I've been there once. But I mean, I go to Mexico all the time, just not to that part. I don't have a whole lot of family that's still there. Like they kind of like
They moved here in Houston.
Yeah, I do have some still there. The ones that were there have either like passed away or there's not that many there, so I haven't really gone out to visit there. But all of my dad's family still lives in Iran, and it's a really big family. And I love both cultures and both like food. I mean, the best of both. I'm a big foodie, so yeah, best of both worlds. I love the food. But I wish I could speak the language. So being that, everyone thinks, oh, you don't speak Farsi? Oh, you don't speak Spanish? No, I speak English, period.
I know.
And it sucks.
Well, you have to really kind of put in the time, not just also like doing Rosetta Stone or Duolingo or something where you really had to like every day. Maybe your daughter has to speak Farsi to you, and you speak Farsi to her back. It's a lifestyle.
It is, and in my house, the common language was English. My mom doesn't speak Farsi, and my dad doesn't speak Spanish, so they both spoke English. So that's what was spoken in the household.
Okay.
So that's like my excuse, I guess. But I've tried to like do. And I took Spanish, and I took like 7 years of it, and I could speak it pretty good. But it's almost like what they teach you in school is not very conversational. It's like very formal.
Yeah.
And I was like doing the Duolingo, and I'm trying a Farsi. Like my dad, but I was like, that's not how you say it. That's weird. And I'm like, great. They're teaching me like whack Farsi on Duolingo. But, I'm like, okay, well, I guess I don't know how. I need to like maybe Rosetta Stone or something different. But that is a goal of mine. I would love to speak a little bit more of both languages.
Is your daughter learning any new languages, like secondary languages?
So my daughter, she's also half Greek. So her father's Greek.
Oh, okay.
So she's been on the Duolingo. She actually loves, she's like doing her little
It's a gamified,
daily like Greek on there, and so I'm like, that's really cute. She takes Spanish in school as well. But yeah, she's learning, listening, but like I've asked her if she wanted to take any like Spanish classes before. She's not interested, but I know in school maybe when she gets a little bit older she'll have like more options.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so would you say you actually understand Spanish or Greek? Like if either one of us speak, I know you say you understand Spanish more.
I can understand Spanish more,
But
yes.
like with Farsi, like if your dad speaks to you in Farsi, like you answer back in English.
Yeah, no, I know maybe just a few words, maybe a couple bad words, but like the important ones, just kidding. But like just very, very little. It's very hard. I remember when I was younger, I would write it. There was like a book I was learning and to write it. But yeah, it just there wasn't any continuity with it, and speaking it, and I wish I learned.
Yeah, I wonder if you actually, could you ever see yourself, besides living in the United States, where would you see yourself living in Iran or Mexico while continuing this lifestyle?
Well,
like, you have your own Medspa. I could see it in Mexico, to be honest.
Mexico, probably. Iran, I mean, Iran just because everything that's going on, especially right now with, the Moosavi, and then they're like killing people out there. There's a lot of protests going on because women want their freedom and their rights.
Yeah.
You have to keep yourself covered. Women are still very oppressed over there. I mean, it's gotten better since when I went in 2021 compared to like when I went like 20 years before that. It changed a lot as far as, because it used to be like, okay, women sit in the back of the bus. and like literally separated,
Yeah,
like,
segregate
you know,
now.
and it's just kind of like, and very, very covered. This time I was like, oh, they're like covered, but like loose, like just like jeans and like loose shirts and like some of their hair showing. Before it's like, okay, there's men and
In the burqas. Women
yeah,
in the
but
burqas.
there's like, you know, men with guns in the streets. I guess the morality police, if like your hair is not covered, they would like say something, you got to cover your hair. It was like
Wow.
really scary. I remember when I was younger. Then I was like, okay, it's kind of like more lenient now. But then all of a sudden this Moosavi thing happened, and are you familiar with
A little
that?
bit, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't want to bring this whole vibe
Yeah.
down,
No.
but it was a big deal. And so living there, I think, would be very difficult, at least right now. But it is a beautiful country. There's so much history, and the people there are amazing. They get like the government kind of gives them a bad rep, but the people there are actually very, very beautiful people.
Yeah, no, I did. And I like that how many. You're one of the few Iranians I've met, but a lot of Iranians I've met are like absolutely like genius. They're very great at whatever they get their hands on. So whether it comes to science, they're great, or even some in bodybuilding, they're actually super great in that aspect. So like. I don't know. It's the Persian genes back in like 3,000 years ago that really tried to take over the Spartans or whatsoever.
Yes, that's what it is, the dominating.
Good hunting, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, but other than traveling, like have you been? What are some other hobbies, or pretty much your business kind of like is your hobby, is your livelihood?
I mean, it's my livelihood, right? But like I said, I'm having like the balance now. I love like art and being creative in general, which is what I do whenever I'm seeing people's faces. It is an art, but I also love to do that too, like interior design. I like putting things together. Like I
Yeah,
do.
I could actually see you in another career. You could be an
Yes,
interior designer.
seriously. If I wasn't doing
Like
what I
I
was
just
doing,
took
that's
a whiff
what
of
I
your
would
house. I
be.
was like, wow, did you hire someone?
I did have some help sourcing some things, but like a lot of the stuff I do on my own, and it just takes a lot of time.
It does.
Yes, it takes a lot of time, but like I love to do it, and I become obsessed with it till it's perfect. It's a blessing and a curse at the same time. But like I'm very articulate, and I don't know. I see things, like I visualize things, and like make it become a reality type of thing. Like
Yeah. So would you say like and when you're traveling, no, but mounting up more about the art, which places have actually hit you the most with a lot of art and inspiration? Because Paris, think of like the museum, to Bali, think of like something very cultural, to Iran, a lot of history, and Mexico, also a lot of history too as well, and probably many more.
yes, I mean, there's been so many places I can't even like pinpoint. I mean, Italy too has such like great history and art everywhere. I remember because that was like the first place I went to. Like I told you, like as an
Oh
adult, like a
yeah,
place, first place in Europe.
and then and then it activate that travel bug in you.
Yes, but I remember I have a picture of me, and I thought this was like amazing because everywhere you go in like Rome, there's art everywhere.
Art everywhere.
And there was this beautiful painting of like the Virgin Mary, like on this building, and you look over and it's right next to a
Was
dumpster.
it art or was it a sculpture?
No, it was art, and
Oh,
it was
wow.
like right next to a dumpster. And I'm pointing. I have a picture of me, and I'm like pointing at the beautiful painting, and then like the dumpster. I'm like, it's literally right there. I mean, you would think it would be like, but it's like literally on every corner, art everywhere. And I loved how people place things like wherever, it was just everywhere you looked, it was beautiful art, history, or something going on. So I was like, wow, this place is cool. Like you don't see that in Houston, Texas.
You see dumpster, you see dumpster.
I
You see
know,
art,
right?
you see art.
But I mean, there are more like in Montrose area and stuff like that, more art stuff, like street art and stuff you see pop
Absolutely
up. You
street
know,
art,
like
yeah.
like they've you see it more here now, but back in like 2005, I think when I went, 2004 is when I went. Like you never saw anything like that around here. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, man, there's lots of very great things there, Mary. So I know we're almost near the end, but what I always like to do at the end of the podcast is like, always, is there any word of advice to our listeners or viewers here, how they really want to get into, what you do, or like, what are some one tips?
I would say number one, never doubt yourself.
Never doubt
I
yourself.
never doubt yourself. You are capable of doing anything that you put your mind to, but you need to work. Like you're going to have to put the work in. Nothing's given to you. You're going to have to bust your ass. Period. But, I feel like I doubted myself in the beginning. It's like, oh, I need this other degree, and I hardly even used my degree. But I'm like, oh, if I would have just went straight to it, it would have been, I could have done it. Mm-hmm. And I needed that security blanket. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't regret doing anesthesia. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
And yes, I learned so much. But looking back in hindsight, I was like, man, if I didn't, I would have had an extra 3 years of my life, an extra 3 years with my daughter that I could have spent more time with her. But everything happened the way it happened. And sometimes when God closes a door, He opens a window. So always don't let things.
Opens a window, not opens another door. Opens a window.
Something. So always just, stay positive. Don't let things get you down, or any setback is for a reason.
Do you think sometimes, and even people would feel like when they start a business, any business, they feel old, and you're pretty much a prominent proof that, dude, age doesn't really matter as long as you look good.
Right? As long as you get your Botox early, just come see me. I'll make you look young. But it takes time. It takes time. Yes, and as I'm 40 years old, but now I'm comfortable. I can say right now that I love my life. I love the balance that I have, and I wouldn't change a thing right now. I'm very, very grateful for everything that's happened, the bad and the good.
The bad and the good.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you very much. So for listeners and viewers here, so how would they want to follow you and follow your med spa or check out your med spa? So.
Oh, okay. So Dream Aesthetics, Houston, Texas. My Instagram is at dream_injections. Mm-hmm. So you can follow me on there. I'm not sure what my TikTok is. I forgot.
Would be very similar.
I think it's Dream Injector, I believe.
And then you have your company website too as well.
Yes, it's dreamhoustonmedspa.com. Mm-hmm. So come check us out. I'd love to see you if you're ever in Houston, or the people that are already in Houston, come and see me. We'll take good care of you.
And men and women. Men, we could get Botox.
Yeah, and Scrotox. No, I don't do Scrotox in my office. I draw the line, but it can be done. Waist up.
Waist up. Or just, I thought it was only the face, not waist up.
You can do it in traps. I do traps.
You do traps?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Mary, thank you very much for your time. And again, guys, please check it out and stay tuned for the next episode of The Thrive Vibe. See you later.
Bye.